Hello and welcome to the Knitrovert Podcast. My name is Jannetje and I'm coming to you from Gouda in the Netherlands. It's been quite warm here in the Netherlands over the last few weeks and the weather has been also very humid. We've had some thunderstorms and some rain, which has been amazing because it really needed to cool down. My small house here doesn't have very good isolation, so I've been hitting the 30 degrees Celsius in my bedroom the last few nights, which has been a challenge. But we're doing okay now. It's starting to cool down a bit again, and I'm just hoping it stays that way. I am recording this on a new phone. Previously, I was recording this on an old iPhone that I borrowed from my parents, but I've since bought a new phone, and I am starting to get used to it a bit. It is an Android phone, and I've never used that before, so I have been asking a lot of friends on how to do certain things, and it's been a learning process, but I'm starting to get there. Let's start this week with what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Rozenrood or Rose Root top by Knitrovert. I knit this last year when it was also very warm, and it is knit in Holst garns. I'm gonna forget this. Yes, darling. The cat is sitting in the window over there and is requiring attention apparently, but I think she'll manage. I am knitting this in Holst Tides in the color Mares. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me show you up close a bit. It has a beautiful yoke with like a sort of flower pattern with leaves. And let me get a bit higher. It is actually very nice. It is fitted. There are bust darts, it has decreases and increases over here. And it sits very well. The only problem is that I made a mistake while knitting this and made the yoke too short. She tells you to do an extra repeat of this stem, and I completely did not do that because I thought it would be too deep of a yoke. But now it's just very high up in my armpit, which means that if we're gonna get gross for a bit, it tends to stink very fast. Not really happy with that, so I'm thinking of someday maybe reknitting the yoke. And I might even give it long sleeves when I do that, because Holst Tides is made up of 30% silk and 70% wool, just plain wool, which means it's not very cool. It is actually quite warm in this. Today it is about 25 degrees in my house, I think, so it is doable. But it's still I'm a bit warm and sweaty, but I wanted to wear this for the podcast today. Other than that, the pattern is amazingly written. I knitted it when this wasn't out in English yet, and I translated it from, I think, Norwegian, which was actually quite doable. I can recommend trying that at least once if you find a pattern that isn't in your language. And I think it's a very clear written pattern, and I really like the other patterns the designer has as well. So check her out. Also, today I am drinking some Yogi Classic tea out of my produce mug, or mok is what it's called in Dutch, but this is my produce mug. And that is because I will be going on a holiday this Monday, so tomorrow, for my birthday. And we're going to the Efteling. Me and my quarantine group, we are going to the Efteling, and we're going to be there for 3 days, and we're going to sleep over in a house that we rented there. And I'm very excited. The Efteling, for anyone who doesn't know, is kind of like the Disneyland of the Netherlands. I think you could call it that. They have their own fairy tales. It is a theme park for young and old. There are some great roller coasters. There is like this forest that with all kinds of fairy tales in it, so you can walk through that if you have a small child, and it's a lot of fun. It is not my birthday within this period. My birthday is in March, and we were gonna go then, but then Corona happened and my trip got postponed. So I got a voucher to use at a later date, and we decided to use it now, since we're hoping that it will be a bit quieter because they don't allow a lot of people in the park at the moment because of the coronavirus. So yeah, that's what I'm drinking. It's a bit warm and I like it, and it's a very spicy tea, so I love that as well. Now, on to some important stuff that I want to talk about before I start with the rest of the podcast. The Black Lives Matter movement is still going on, and it's still going strong. Here in the Netherlands, they are having protests, at least a couple of protests every week, and they are very quiet and peaceful protests, so that's going very well. Also, in the Netherlands, we have something called Sinterklaas. And historically in Sinterklaas there's someone called Black Pete. There are multiple of him, but and I'm very happy to say that a lot of cities are starting to abolish Black Pete, because it is a racist figure, or as in Black Pete isn't racist, but the idea of Black Pete. I'm not explaining this correctly. The concept of Black Pete is something that is racist, and many Dutch people are ashamed that we still have that in our country. So a lot of cities are no longer allowing a Black Pete to be in the parade when Sinterklaas comes to our country in November. And I'm hoping that just basically all the cities will stop using Black Pete. I am not really sure if just removing Black Pete from the celebration is enough. I'm not an expert on this subject. And I hope that this at least is a good start, and that we can continue to improve to a celebration that is a great celebration for everyone in our country, and also in other countries, because it is also celebrated in at least Belgium, also in Curacao, and the Netherlands Antilles, I think. And I'm probably missing a lot of countries, for which I'm sorry. But yeah, I really hope that at least this is a step in the right direction, and that many will follow. As I said, it is a movement that is still ongoing. We still need to talk about this, but mainly white people need to start working on their own on their own ways in which they can consistently remove racism from their daily lives. That is by talking to your family members, speaking up when something racist happens around you, and also realizing when you're being racist yourself. So please keep on working on that, and I just hope that we can go not back to normal, but we can grow towards a place where everyone is treated equally and where Black Lives Matter. Lately, there has been another minority that has been having a lot of trouble. And this is about Ravelry. Ravelry, as some of you know, has changed their design. It has changed to a new design, and that new design is not accessible for some non-neurotypical people. People get migraines, people get headaches, and as of now, at least 8 people have gotten seizures from it, which is quite serious. I personally am not neurotypical, but I also don't have a problem with the current design as it is. It does not give me headache. That is also because I use glasses that have a blue light filter in my daily life, and I usually set my laptop screens very dark. But another thing that I always do, because I am a programmer and I work with sitting behind a screen all day, is that I use dark themes. And I'm hoping that can help some other people as well. So what I've done is I've taken some styles online that people have made for Ravelry and altered it to a dark theme in grey. Excuse me. So it is a grey theme and it's quite muted. It's very gentle, I would say. I am by no means a color expert. I usually ask for help when I try to decide colors for projects and for what to wear, because before I started wearing colors, my main color, the only color I wore, was black and just different kinds of jeans, and that was it basically. So it's probably not perfect, but it helps. It is quieter on the eyes. As well, I have removed the balloons on the login page and the clouds and everything. They are now at 0 opacity, so that means they're invisible. So if that gave you stress as well, that is gone. I will link in the description box below where you can find it. On my Instagram stories, in my Instagram feed, I have also created a short how-to on how to install it for anyone who doesn't have any experience with it. This is only a fix for desktop and is not a fix for mobile. As of yet, I do not know of a way to fix the website on mobile, but it is at least something. This way, people who are done with Ravelry and want to remove their account can still take stuff from their account or log in and download the things they want to remember without getting more problems than they already had. This does not negate any changes Ravelry has made to the layout, to certain links. That is still the same in the new Ravelry, as in the style does not change that, but everything is a dark color of gray or black, and the text is a lighter color of gray, so that there is just low contrast. If there is anything that I forgot to change or that is still very jarring, then please let me know so that I can fix it, because I want to be able to make this something that everyone can use, so that we can all just either use Ravelry in a calm way, as in calm for our eyes, or use it to take our stuff from Ravelry without any problems. Because when I'm saying taking stuff from Ravelry or downloading our information from Ravelry, there has been talk about people no longer using Ravelry, deleting their accounts and all that kind of stuff, because this has been the last straw for them. I do not know of any good alternatives for Ravelry, and that is why I am currently still using it, because I really prefer the way I can search for patterns in Ravelry. I have been playing with the idea of maybe starting a kind of Ravelry for myself, but I am currently still ill and I will not have the energy to pull that through. Although I would love to do that, because I think that would be awesome to do while still stressful, because you have to keep everyone in mind. Just catering to the masses will not be enough. I want to make sure that everyone can use it as a safe space, and I think at the moment that will take too much energy out of me. So I hope that someone else will take up the mantle, or that Ravelry will start learning from their mistakes and properly apologize to the people they've hurt and learn from what happened and how to do better. So, that has been my introduction. It's been a bit longer than I expected, actually. I hope I haven't stumbled too much because I am, again, trying to not edit this episode too much because I have a lot of things to do. I need to pack still, and I have something else to do, which is something that I will explain later in this episode. But now, let's start with finished objects. I have one very pretty finished object this week, and it has been staring at you from the beginning of this episode, and that is this wonderful shawl right here. This is the Lark shawl by Fibertales. Lark from Fibertales has designed this, and as soon as I saw the episode in which she showed this for the first time, I knew that I had to cast it on, so I think I actually bought the pattern and cast on that same evening. And I finished it just now. I started this quite a while ago, I think more than a month ago, and I knit it quite fast, but then I still had to steek. And this yarn was not a yarn that could be steeked with just a crochet reinforcement, so I had to put it underneath the sewing machine. And I did that last week, I think. I'm very happy with the end result. You can't see the end result, by the way, but she has you pick up stitches from this side, this is the right side, all across the top of the shawl, and then knit and sew it down on the wrong side of the shawl. It is very warm. Wait, maybe I should explain what I knit this out of. I knit this out of John Arbon Devonia 4-ply, and I used two colors. The first is the main color, and that is this one. And this is the color Ivy Leaf. This is what I still had left from the second skein, and that is, let's see, 76 grams, so that is actually quite a lot. This is a 100 gram skein from the start, so 67 grams is, yeah, I think that's very good. The yarn is made up of 50% Exmoor Blueface, 30% Blueface Leicester, and 20% Wensleydale. It is non-superwash, and it is not extremely soft. I can feel it around my neck at the moment, so it is a bit scratchy, but it is very nice and warm. It's very floofy, and I like it a lot. The contrast color is this color, and let's see if this works. Well, it's all trial and error for now. This is the contrast color, and it is in the colorway Sage Spring, or Sage Sprig. Sorry. It is a very nice light green grayish tint that I love a lot, and I still have 27 grams left over from this color, which is more than Lark predicted, and there is a reason for that. This shawl is smaller than hers looked, and I think the reason for that is that I used the same needles as she did, and I didn't swatch beforehand because I figured it's a shawl, why bother? And I have since found out that she knits way looser than I do. So I do think I will knit the shawl again because I really enjoyed the process. It is written quite nicely, and it has a lot of differentiation in the pattern, and it keeps your interest a lot. The only things that I might change are the bobbles, because that is something that I don't really enjoy doing, but it does look very nice, so I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I do think I will knit this again at some point in another colorway and another yarn, and if I do, or when I do, I will probably go up from, I think I knit this in 3.5 millimeters, or maybe 4. But and I will probably go up to either 4 to 5 millimeters. Yeah, because I knit very tight. This is the back. These are my floats. Oh no, I'm showing you my floats. But yeah, this is the shawl. I did block it. It is a bit crinkly because my house is a complete mess at the moment. But you know, we're all coping in our own ways. I did block it, but I seemed to have lost my blocking wires, and I cannot for the life of me find either my blocking wires or my blocking pins. So what I did is I threw it in the washing machine on wool setting. I have a very good washing machine that I trust with that completely. So I threw it in the washing machine, and then I just laid it out to dry on my yoga mat without pinning it or anything. So if I do that at some point, it might still grow, but in the meantime, it is at least big enough to wear the way I prefer wearing my shawls. And if I wear it like this, it is also still doable. But I do have a wish of someday just knitting a shawl that is as long as my torso, or comes to my wrists, and then I can just snuggle up in it completely. I think that would be amazing. I do think that would be a half circle shawl, or maybe even 3/4 of a circle. But yeah, that is my dream someday. Someday. Let me put this back. There we go. So, that is my finished object for this week. I am very happy. I cannot wait until summer is over, even though it's only started, because then I can actually wear it. So yeah, let's go on to works in progress. Last time I talked about the dissolve sweater, and that I had to reknit the sleeves in a different fade, and I have since started that, actually. And this is where I am currently. Let's see if I can, yeah. I just started with one sleeve. You can see my decreases here. I had to use a different decrease rate because I have tiny wrists in comparison to my upper arms. And I'm knitting it as a long sleeve. And this is currently, where I currently am is at the last color of the fade. Let's see if I can show this in a way where you can see. It is, work with me. It is over here. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to knit up until I finished with the 3 rows for the last color, and then I'm going to frog this, or yeah, frog this part, and then reknit that to the last color. That way I know how much I have left of every color of yarn, and then I can start puzzling on how to knit the rest. This isn't a lot of progress for me, especially not for, what, 2-3 weeks that I haven't seen you guys. But that is because I have been ill, and also because I haven't been knitting on this a lot, because when I was ill, my brain just could not function. I couldn't think, I didn't want to think, so I went to something else for knitting. But let me just, I want to go to that already, but let me first finish explaining about this work in progress. So this pattern is designed by Marion M. Knits, and it is the dissolve sweater. It is a fade sweater, and I am using Tammy Colors the Tough Sock Advent Calendar of 2019. So I'm using about 14 mini skeins to knit this up. And the original pattern is knit up for about, or designed for about 4 to 6 different colors. Because of that, I've had to alter the fade. If you want an explanation on that, you can check out the previous 2 episodes where I show you how to fade in a Fibonacci sequence to 3 or 5. So yeah, you can check those out if you want. I'm very happy with the yarn. The yarn is a bit rustic, but very nice and very squishy, and it becomes way softer after being washed. And yeah, it is very out of my comfort zone. I don't really wear pink usually, but I like it. It's a good step out of my comfort zone, and I'm very excited to see it finished and be able to wear it. So yeah, but as I said, I couldn't really think a lot when I was ill, and I just needed something very simple. So what I did was I cast on another sock. This is just a plain vanilla sock. I used self-striping yarn for the main color. I sadly do not know what the fiber content is of this yarn, or who it is from. I got this as a gift for a birthday present many years ago, and I don't remember. I don't think I kept the yarn label when I did. This yarn is left over from some Afterthought heel socks I tried. Afterthought heel socks are not really my thing because they keep turning around my foot, which is really annoying. So I figured I would do a heel flap heel this time. And it's turning out pretty great. The contrast color I'm using, I do know. This is a yarn from Stranded Dye Works in the color Pigeon Fancier, and this is her merino sock base. Yeah, I love the color. It is this grayish, bluish, greenish color with splashes of purple in it. Yeah, that's the best description I can give you. So it's a kind of a dark turquoise, I think, and it is currently filled with cat hairs, as is everything in my house after 2 seconds of entering my house. But yeah, that's the color, and I like it a lot. I'm knitting this on 2.25 millimeter needles, which is new for me. As I said, I knit quite tight, so usually 2.5 millimeters is enough for me on 60 stitches for a sock. And I figured I want my socks to be a bit more durable, so I would go down a size. And I went like, you know, if I go down 1 size, then I can just cast on 64 stitches and it will be fine. Newsflash, nope. It is very tight. That is the reason why the leg is quite short, because if I would make it any longer, it wouldn't fit over my calves anymore. Also, I did a tubular cast on, but it is very tight, and I can barely get it over my heel. So I'm not sure what to do with that yet. I might workshop something for the next sock. Because this is so tight, I was very worried that it would be too tight at my instep. So what I did is I made the heel flap quite longer instead of, I think, let's see. I think I knit this for about 10 more rows than I usually would have to. So yeah, it's still quite short, so I'm wondering if I did something wrong. But it is also still kind of tight over here. I will show this when I finish them. So I'm not sure. But what I did to offset the tightness in the foot, because it would also be too tight in the foot is I added 4 extra stitches across the whole row by decreasing less stitches in the gusset. So now I'm knitting 68 stitches in the round, and I'm thinking that will be a lot better. So yeah, I am gonna finish this when I'm at the Efteling. While I'm just in the, queuing for an attraction or something. An attraction? That's not how you call it. For a ride. I think that's, for a ride or something else. Because there will be lots of queuing. So, yeah, I think I will finish these very fast. And I will also be taking something else with me, which I will talk about later. But I do want to... I did forget to say something. Speaking of queuing, I have very bad knees. I can't walk for very long, and I can't stand for very long before my knees really start hurting. Especially if I have to do that for more days, multiple days in a row, I will start walking like someone who is very old and needs a crutch. Another friend who is joining us also has the same issue, so we are going to rent a wheelchair, and we'll be switching up when someone is in the wheelchair and the other one will push, etc., etc. So that way both of us can have some downtime and the other one can walk for a bit, because just sitting also doesn't really help my knees. And I think that's actually great. You can hire wheelchairs at the Efteling for I think €5 a day, which is definitely worth it for me. So I think that's great. But what that also means is that when I'm actually sitting, I can knit. I mean, this is perfect. I can just socialize, I can be at my favorite theme park, and I can also enjoy my favorite hobby. So yeah, I'm planning to do a lot of knitting at the Efteling, and I'm hoping to show you guys some awesome progress after I come back. That also ties into something else, because I really want to finish something before I go to the Efteling. And this work in progress has been cursed for everyone who is knitting it at the moment. This is the Summer Dream top by Knits with Chocolat. And last time that I showed you this pattern, I had finished the back and I had finished one of the front panels. After that, after I stopped recording, I knit the second front and a part of the body, because I had joined in around. And then I realized that it was too short. The neckline was too short, because what the designer didn't mention is that the row gauge for this pattern is way more important than the stitch gauge. And so it was coming over here and I could barely get it over my head. And also the armpit had the same issue that I have with this top. It was way too short. And I checked my gauge and I thought that I had the right row gauge, but I didn't, because if I stretched it out to the right row gauge, then the number of stitches per inch would be too many or too little. Too many, yeah. And so it wouldn't work in that sense. And I grabbed the larger swatch in 3.5 millimeters, because I had knitted in 3.25 millimeters before, and I stretched it to the right proportions, and it was perfect. I had not measured my gauge swatches correctly, so what I did was I ripped everything out and I started again. And I wasn't the first one to do that, because one someone else in our knit along, in our group knit along on WhatsApp, also had already was at the same point and had taken everything out and started knitting again because her row gauge was also off. And maybe the third person will also have to do that at some point, and I'm really hoping for her sake she doesn't. But yeah, we'll see. So we kind of have the idea that this pattern is cursed. But in the meantime, I have made a lot of headway because I want to be able to wear this at the Efteling. Because I think it will be nice weather, and I want to wear something cool, and in more ways than one. I think it would be a lot of fun to be able to wear something that I knit myself and is also nice and cool for the weather. So, let's show you where I am. It keeps on going. It keeps on going. I'm almost done. Oh my god. I'm so happy. Yesterday I was, let's see, where was I? I think yesterday I was here. I knit the entire day yesterday. I think I knit for more than 12 hours. And I knit this part. And I only have to do 4 more rows of 1x1 twisted rib with only a knit through the back loop, not purl through the back loop, thank goodness. And then I'm done. And then I just have to block it. Actually, I'm not done. I just gave myself false hope. Then I just have to do the sleeves. There are 2 options for the sleeves in this pattern. You have sleeve caps that are kind of this long and they go like this. And you have short sleeves that come till here. I'm gonna do the sleeve caps because that's what I prefer to wear as well. If I want to wear this to the office a lot, then I might at some point still knit the longer sleeves. But we'll see when we get there, because I still have a lot of yarn left. And the reason I have a lot of yarn left is because when I started the body, when I joined in the round for the body, I then ignored the pattern completely and went to the pattern for this top. It has the same stitch gauge as this one, and it is an actual fitted top. Lena Tusti gives you 3 options in her tops. You have the straight version, then you have a lightly fitted version where there are less decreases but there is still some fitting in the waist, and then you have the more fitted version. I think that is a great way to write your patterns, and if I ever design patterns, I will definitely do that, because it makes it easy and accessible for everyone, because everyone has a different body type. So I think that would be awesome. But yeah, it doesn't have the exact same stitch counts, as in the number of stitches per row isn't exactly the same, so I had to do some math to make everything work. I also, let's see if I can show this properly. I started out decreasing every 8th row, and after a while I realized, oh crap, I need to decrease way faster than this. And instead of taking it out and ripping it back, I decided to just decrease every 4 rows to make sure that I stop decreasing at the right point, instead of 8. And actually what I did is something I'm very happy about, because it made this curve very gradual, and you absolutely cannot see that here properly, but this is about, I think this is where my boob stops. And so it has a gradual decrease when it's still like here. It starts gradually decreasing over here, and then underneath there has a faster decrease. And I think that is actually better than just a same decrease rate all over. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that mistake. After that, I knit a few rounds in the normal stitch count, or in the waist, and then I had to increase again. And that gave me a bit of a headache because I also still wanted to do the lace panel at the bottom of the shirt. So I had to increase in a way that I would still get a multiple of the lace panel number of stitches. I don't want to give away too much of the pattern. So that took some math, and I made a mistake somewhere in my math. And I had to improvise at the end. But I think it worked out fine. We'll see after I block it. But I think it worked out fine. And yeah, I'm actually quite happy. I think it looks good. It's not too distracting because I had to double increase over here, but I don't think it's actually distracting, so that's cool. There was something else I wanted to say about this pattern. Let's see. Yeah, so I still have most of the fourth ball left, or fifth. Not sure, but that means I have at least 1 or 2 balls of yarn left over, which would be enough for at least the sleeves, or maybe even a bralette or something, which can be quite cool. Let's see what else. I'm knitting this out of BC Garn's Lino, which is a linen yarn that changes a lot after washing. So my row gauge is currently completely off. It will still relax a bit when I'm done knitting it, and I will have to block it quite aggressively, I think, to make everything fit properly. But I'm actually very excited to see how it will fit, because yeah, I think this will be quite cool. So I have notes. The phone is currently balancing on my laptop screen, and I have notes down below, but my screen keeps trying to go to sleep, so I have to wake that up every now and again. Yeah. As I said, this project is cursed, but that is also because, I'm gonna be quite honest, the pattern is not really that good. As in, I love the design. The design is cool, and I think it's well thought out. But it feels like the pattern hasn't been tech edited or tested. Well, it has, because there are so many mistakes. At some point, she tells you to knit something and then break the yarn and put your stitches on hold, but then knit something again on that part of the pattern and then break your yarn and put your stitches on hold, and then knit something again at the same part of the pattern, and then you can put your break your yarn and put your stitches on hold. So if you really take her word for word, you have to break your yarn twice when you actually don't have to, which is a shame, because weaving in ends in linen is not something that is very pleasant, and I'm gonna have to do it a lot now, because I used up the ball that I used the first time, so I have a lot of ends to weave in. And then at the last part of the pattern with the lace panel, she tells you you're knitting in the round, and she tells you to purl the stitches in the even rows. But if you look at the pictures, nobody has purled those stitches. Everyone has knit those stitches because you're knitting in the round and you're knitting in lace pattern in the round. If you would knit that flat, then yes, definitely purl the even rounds, but that's not the case. So why would it's even in red so that it's extra visible, but then why would it still say to purl? So there are those kinds of mistakes, and I just feel like it's very sloppy, and I don't want to be too harsh for the designer, but I just want people to know that when they start knitting this pattern, that there will be mistakes and that they will have to, that they will have to make sure that the row gauge is better or spot on instead of their stitch gauge, and that you are able to handle those kinds of mistakes in the pattern and fix or read through those and be able to still make a garment that you're happy with in the end. So yeah, I did want to say that because I don't know, I feel like it's harsh or that I shouldn't say anything bad about something, but I did pay for this pattern and it is not a new pattern and it has actually been tested, so I just was kind of disappointed. And I don't think I will actually knit this pattern again once I'm done. The only reason that I am finishing this is by sheer stubborn determination. And I'm very happy I have that. But yeah, I'm gonna be very happy once I'm done with this pattern. Which is hopefully today. I hope to finish this project today and be able to block it today so that I can wear it and that I can pack it tomorrow to go to the Efteling. So yeah, that's also the reason why I don't want to edit this podcast too much, because that does take a lot of time. So we'll see what happens. That's my last work in progress currently, but I will be casting on a new project after I'm back from my holiday, and I bought some yarn for that. So stash acquisition. It's a really difficult word to say. Stash acquisition. Yeah. I again was watching Lark's podcast, Fiber Tales, and she was talking about a new design that she had in the works, and she was showing us multiple designs, and one of those she was gonna call for testers soon, and that is a sweater that she wants to release in the fall. So it's a worsted weight sweater, and I bought some yarn for it because I am going to be one of the testers. I am going to knit it as a gender neutral garment for myself, so that I can wear it on days where I feel more muscular. And I bought some Gilead yarn by Rerum Natura. I bought it in the colorway Fusane. No, that's not gonna focus. I'm gonna put it down below anyway, so you can see it over there. Yeah, it is a dark gray, and the reason I went for dark gray is because I want to wear it with two of the button-down shirts, or button-up shirts? I'm not sure, that I have. One is in a nice dark red or burgundy color, and the other is in a rusty orange. Even though last episode I said that I don't like to wear orange, this is the one exception. So I decided to go for a neutral color, and I was really doubting between a lighter gray or this dark gray, and I asked some friends, and one of them said, if you pick the darker gray, you will really start looking like just a dark, I'm not sure how she said it, a dark blob or something. Not that, she put it way more eloquently, but, and I went like, well, actually, that's my aesthetic, so I'm gonna go for the dark gray. Yeah, I bought 5 skeins, or balls, actually, and it is so squishy. I have used Gilead before in a sweater that is in my work in progress basket over there, that I still need to finish, and I like it a lot. It is made from 100% wool. The company is focuses on ecological yarns, and that is something that I also stand by. It is non-superwash, which I also really like, because I have a goal to not buy any more superwash yarn or yarns with nylon in it. So it did qualify for that. Yeah, and I'm actually really excited. Her pattern uses some herringbone stitch, and I swatched for that. And I think that knits up beautifully. It is very nice and squishy, and I think you can see the texture very well. I still have to swatch in another size as well, and then I can wash them. Yeah, and you need to know the gauge for this one specifically. You need to really swatch for this. And then it also has just plain stockinette stitch on other parts of the sweater. And since I had already knit with Gilead before and swatched for that before, I can use those swatches. So this is the colorway Nuit, or Night in French, I think. And I had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I had swatched in 5.5 millimeters and in 6 millimeters. And yeah, I'm very happy because now I don't have to swatch again for that. But she also says that the sleeves are knit bottom up, and you can use the sleeves as a swatch as well, which would be a perfectly good option, but I already had the swatches lying around, so I'm just gonna use those. So yeah, that is going to be a new cast on for when I'm back from my holiday. And go over to her channel if you want to see that sweater. It is beautiful, I think. I love textured stitches, and I love having good basics in my wardrobe. So I think this will definitely be one of those. I think, yeah, I had to go up a couple of needle sizes again for this pattern, because she knits quite loose and I knit quite tight. So because I knew that I had to order larger needles for this one, because she tells you to knit it in 8 millimeters, and I think I bought 9 and 10 millimeters, and this is a 10 millimeter swatch. So I hope this will be big enough, because I don't know if I can actually get 11 millimeters. Worst case scenario, I will have to use very old school straight needles, because I think you can get those in larger sizes, or I will just have to go to something like the Praxis or Gamma, which are, how do you say that? Handyman stores? No, that's not the word. Like stores where you can buy saws and just dowels and everything you need to make things. Wow, this explanation is great. I will probably be putting something over here where I am just being sarcastic at myself and telling myself what word I was gonna say. But yeah, that is going to be a cast on that will happen after I come back, and I'm actually very excited about that. It is a worsted weight yarn. It is quite warm over here, so that's gonna be a challenge, especially since I have really been enjoying knitting on linen, because your hands don't really get sticky and it isn't warm on your lap or in your fingers. But I'm just gonna see how it goes, and I hope it will be fine. What helps is that the sleeves are knit separately, so you don't have a lot of fabric lying on your lap when you're doing those. And I might actually just take some yarn with me so that I can knit the sleeves while I'm in line for rides at the Efteling. Because if I'm done with the socks, why not, right? I can just put a ball of yarn in my backpack and start knitting. So yeah, I think I will pack that too. You can never pack enough knitting projects when you're going away for only 3 days, right? Right? So yeah, that is all I have to talk about today. I'm currently at 55 minutes on my phone, so this has been quite long. Some of my friends have told me that they would like a tutorial on how to wind a center pull ball by hand. I am currently still working out how I am going to record that properly because I live alone and I don't really know how I can film it while giving you guys a good view. So that is in the works. I'm hoping to maybe film that next time around. I will probably do a separate video for that. But yeah, that will be coming. As well, if people ever have questions on different things, on how to do certain things, then I am also interested in filming videos for that. I love altering my the things I knit to best fit my body, and I'm actually quite interested in doing a video series on how people can learn to do that themselves. So yeah, I think that would be fun. In the meantime, don't forget to love each other, be nice to each other, and I hope you can find joy in whatever craft you enjoy doing. And until next time, have an awesome day. Bye!